Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining today's webinar on how SME Young Leaders work. My name is Lynn Audrey Nkule, and I'm part of the Young Leaders class of 2019 with responsibilities in the Global Sections Committee and the Professional Development Committee. Today on our panel, we have Denise Leviton, an environmental scientist and geochemist with Bar Engineering, and the current vice chair of the Young Leaders Committee, Nick Gao, a senior metallurgical engineer at Forte Dynamics and past chair of the Young Leaders Committee, Luis Velasquez, product specialist of rock drilling tools at Ferreros and graduating Young Leaders class of 2018, and Mario Bendesu, a mining engineer currently studying for his master's at West Virginia University and vice chair Latin America for the Global Sections Subcommittee. Now I'll let Denise have the floor to start the presentation.
Ready to work.
Excellent, thank you.
Okay, this is Denise again, and we're going to start off this presentation by talking about what the SME Young Leaders Committee is and what we do. I think that most of you are not current members, so you might not know, but I think there are also a few of you who are current members and hopefully, but perhaps don't know. So you go to the next slide. All right, so what is the SME YLC? Basically, we are early career professionals, which is 35 years or younger when we start the 4 years of being on the committee. And everybody on the committee has at least a bachelor's degree. So the group exists to provide early career professionals like us with professional and career opportunities through networking with our peers and with senior leaders in the mining industry. By participating in technical and mentoring programs, both online and at the SME annual meeting, on otherwise engaging within SME. A lot of us, although not all of the members of the YLC, were active in their university SME student chapters while they were in college. Participating in YLC lets people like that, who are sadly not me, continue to be involved in SME as they transition from being students to being full-fledged career people and working in the mining industry. For those of us who don't come from traditional mining backgrounds, the Young Leaders Committee is a really great way to be introduced to the wide variety of different opportunities within the mining industry through participating in SME. That's the overview. If you go to the next slide. So here you can see a breakdown of by different categories who we are in the Young Leaders. Currently there's about 100 members in 4 classes. Again, it's a 4-year program, so each year we have a new class. I guess the makeup of this panel doing this presentation is pretty much representative of our gender ratios. We're slightly over a quarter female and the rest male. We are pretty evenly divided by age throughout the years that are eligible to join the YLC, which is people under 40, but old enough to have graduated from college. And like I said, we all have at least a bachelor's degree, but many of us also have master's and/or doctorates. And geographically, this program started in, like SME, in North America, so we're mostly from North America. We have a pretty good contingent of South Americans, as well as people from all over the world. So that's pretty exciting to meet people from everywhere. If you go to the next slide. So now you know who we are. What do we do? So in terms of actual specific activities, I think that Nick and Mario are going to cover that more later in the presentation. But I'll start with how the YLC fits into SME as a whole. So in addition to SME providing value to us as our careers begin, we also provide value to SME. We're useful to them, they're useful to us, and we are them. So because a lot of us are recent students, or in many cases grad students, in some cases early career professors, we assist the SME student chapters in a lot of their activities and in doing their annual reports, and we provide mentorship for them. We add even more value to the SME organization by work that we do both within the Young Leaders Subcommittees and by helping a lot of our members build connections to participate in other SME committees or divisions that benefit from having an early career perspective speak up in their meetings or on their projects. And then we also help to enhance SME's professional and academic reputation. A lot of us present technical talks at meetings. We've written papers and other articles for SME publications. I know I got a copy of Mining Engineering just yesterday that Nick had written or co-written an article in. And then we've also, you can see from that picture there, that's Ching Ching, who's one of our SME young leaders. We've won a lot of the prizes and awards that SME gives out. So we're showing how the society can make a difference in academic careers. So that's pretty cool, I think. And then finally, the young leaders we're part of the broader mining community. You know, we're all alumni of somewhere, we're employees of somewhere, and we're also residents and citizens of somewhere. And so we can all bring and give out a lot of different perspectives, both to the community and from the mining community as a whole, and bring that into SME, and then also bring some of the knowledge that we get from SME out into the larger community. So that is our purpose. And I will turn it over now to Nick to talk about some more specifics of the group.
All right. Hey, all. This is Nick Gao. I currently serve as the past chair for the Young Leaders. Gone through, a number of these, or spent a number of years with the group, and kind of been able to see both, how this group moves forward, and been able to expand it into a number of different things. And so as we get into, or as someone gets into Young Leaders, it's kind of being able to understand how to both look forward with your career in SME and both look back, and how to provide back to the student chapters that you may have just left, or to bring other students or other members into the fold. And so through all of that, as you are kind of brought into the Young Leaders, it's a 4-year commitment. And so that upfront requires a conversation both, with yourself and with, your boss, your university, whoever it is, because it does take that commitment in order to be able to make the annual meetings, put the time into it, and have the understanding that it is going to take some of your efforts. But we've been able to bring the group up from 40 people a number of years ago to, I want to say it's at least 150 at this point. And so with all of these people, we've got a number of different things that we can engage in, and almost think of the Young Leaders as kind of the minor leagues of SME. We're no longer students. We've moved past that, but we're no longer we're not up to the capabilities of stepping into the roles that the strategic committees or the executive committees within SME currently. There are already members there. We will eventually move up into that as long as the effort is there. And so there's a number of different ways to get involved, but the main thing is to have the ability and the desire to get involved with it, whatever that ends up being. And there are a number of ways to get involved. We'll go through that. Luis, if you want to proceed to the next slide. The key to all of this is basically you can get out of it what you put into it. I mean, if you're no longer able to, or no longer feel the need to be a part of the group, after you've been invited to the Young Leaders, or say 2 years down the road, your situation changes and SME no longer makes sense, that's fine. Or there's no punishment to it. It's all what you can bring. And so if things change, that's absolutely fine. But the more that you can put into the group, the more you can definitely get out, the more your name gets out there, the more that you get involved with. And we'll see that through the next few slides as we get into kind of the overall, I guess, structure of the group and how we do things. On to the next slide, please. So within the organization, we've got the executive committee. We've been able to expand from 4 subcommittees up to 6. A lot of that's due just to having the massive number of people that we've got. The more that we can bring in, the more that we can do. The division representatives, that's also something that we've been able to put out over the last few years. Strategic committee representatives. So through all of these subcommittees, we've got 6 different areas that we branch into. That kind of touch on everything that SME does. If it isn't covered within those groups, we also send out or elect representatives within the group to be able to interact and kind of liaison with each of the divisions within SME or the strategic committees. And that way we're involved in kind of everything going on. We've got the ability to say, hey, this is something that we've got people that can help out. Or, we're a young generation, we've got some ideas that we can bring to this. Here's how we can help. So we've been able to branch out over the last few years into basically every aspect of SME. And as we move into that, it kind of definitely helps out as far as everyone understanding what the young leaders are and what they can do. And so then that ends up kind of coming back full circle for us to get more involved in further aspects of it. But we'll go through each of the quick subcommittees, give a quick breakdown of what each of them are. That way, once you come into the young leaders, you can have kind of a pick and choose of which subcommittee you would want to primarily focus on. And go ahead, Luis. Sorry, the organization breakdown, again, the 6 committees, past chair and the executive committee. We also have a board of directors, which has been newly instituted in order to have some feedback from some of the past young leaders who have, gone on and done further things, as well as some of the older SME members who can help us push forward into different aspects. But as you can see, this is the current individuals who serve each of those subcommittees. Go ahead, Luis. Within the student relations subcommittee, this was one that I had headed up at early on when I was a young leader. The key is to be able to interact with all of the student chapters. Especially, as the student chapters kind of expand. We've gone from about 50 to almost 80 student chapters over the last few years. And a lot of that growth has been in the international group. So India, South America, the Middle East have all had added chapters in the last few years. And so being able to develop those chapters is a key aspect of being able to bring in, more individuals, more young leaders, get different aspects. And so we reach out to each of those student chapters. Each one should have a young leader who's in contact with them. We also grade and judge or review and judge each of the annual reports, which is, kind of a key aspect of the student chapters maintaining their status. And so it's a way for us as young leaders who are the closest to kind of that student chapter mentality to be able to help out and provide information that they may not have been able to get otherwise. On to the next subcommittee, please. Membership, the membership subcommittee kind of interacts with the application process. They track your progression through the young leaders, help you to get involved with some of the older young leaders as you come in, and then track how you've helped out. And so we kind of keep track of, who's helping out. if we've got a special project, we know who's got availability or who might be able to take it on. And then they also help to promote the young leaders. So our logo that's come out, some of the social media that's come out has all come out through this group. All right, on to professional development. This is more of the this internal development for the young leaders. So as we've got this great group of people that can help to provide these provide their point of views, provide their technical aspects. All of that comes together in speaker presentations, webinars like this that we do both internally and externally. We're working to further build that out, but definitely it's something that we'd like to continue building because we have so many amazing members within the committee. All right, on to annual conference. So the annual conference subcommittee was something put on, I believe, that we started 3 years ago. I headed up the inaugural group where we looked at all of the different activities that we've got at the SME annual conference every February. And we decided that we needed some way to organize all of this because we were no longer just doing the field trip that SME does every year, but we started doing technical sessions, we started doing development sessions, and we've got all of these different activities that we've got going on now. So it required a lot more effort than I'm sure SME was able to put forth, especially as we decided, we want to do a lot more different things. So there are a number of different activities that we've added over the last few years. We've got a technical booth within the SME Expo area. We do a rising professional social, a number of other activities that have been both, completed and then others that have been suggested that we're trying to coordinate as well. Global sections. This is one of the more recent subcommittees, but again, as the student chapters and as the SME kind of international committee or community expands, we want to be able to reach out, interact with those groups, and then be able to understand what those community needs are and how we can potentially help. Because the needs of the U.S. SME and all of the local sections there aren't or haven't been the same needs as a lot of the other chapters, but we need to know that. And so with the large number of international young leaders that we've got, we're able to push a lot of those efforts forward. And then lastly, we've got the Philanthropic and Community Outreach Subcommittee. This was a subcommittee that was formed by one of our past presidents, Tom Rauch, who wanted to see us give back through different efforts. His initial effort was the Boy Scouts of America, the Mining Society Merit Badge. He's gone on to also put together the 4K by 40 Foundation achievement to track the donations from younger members. And so through some other outreach events, we've been able to track a lot more or able to decide how we want to use some of the individuals that we've got within the young leaders. So there's a number of different aspects in which we have been involved with and then been able to further expand into with the large number of people that we've got. With that, I think, Luis, are you up now?
Yes.
All right, I'll turn it over to you.
And Mario is next.
Oh, Mario, sorry.
All right, thank you, Luis. Hello, everyone. Hope everybody's doing well. This is Mario Bendesu, and it's a pleasure for me to talk about the Young Leaders Committee. As a new young leader, class 2019, I have witnessed a great variety of possibilities that as young leaders we have. And there is a recommendation for international professionals looking to join this program. It is an essential requirement to speak English. Our for everyone, Young Leaders Committee is voluntary. Yeah, it's going to take an amount of time, but you can be as involved as you want. But the more, the better. So let's start with the committee projects. Each committee has its own projects. In order to grow and add value to the SME, you have to meet and stay in touch with many international professionals and work with them. For example, I am in the Global Sections Subcommittee, and I have been helping several student chapters in my country so they know more about the SME. Another project, for example, as young leaders, is this webinar. This is a clear example how different professionals from different sectors gather to accomplish a task. And with this, you are doing networking and also friends. Then we have networking sessions, social events, coaching meetings, and guided tours to mines. All of these activities take place during the SME annual meeting. It is such an amazing experience as an international professional that was never in USA before at that moment, that young leaders members, they were always guiding and helping me. The networking and coaching sessions happens at the same time when every young leader gets to know each other. We exchange business cards and also the most experienced young leaders who are outstanding professionals in their sector talk about their experience and challenges. We also have a very fun reunion during the annual convention where we get to know each other in a friendly way and we enjoy some dishes and share experience. This photo is from this year, and it is not there is not everybody, but it was a very fun reunion and everybody was getting everybody. We were meeting everybody there, having fun. Also, we have an instant communication channel to young leaders members because we have a WhatsApp group where we have fluent communication between each other, and it is extremely helpful. So we don't have to wait when we send an email, we have to wait maybe some time to receive an answer. They just grab their phones and they answer you in an informal way, and it is very fast. I really like that we have this tool with this WhatsApp group. As a young leader, we also have discounts to webinars, and sometimes SME sponsors the young leader member to some events. For example, SME is sponsoring me to the Emerging Leaders Alliance conference that is going to take place in Virginia this November. A great opportunity to receive a leadership training. So I'm very happy, I'm very glad that I am having this opportunity. Likewise, inside the Professional Development Committee, there is a subcommittee that checks and improves your resume, advantage that I just recently used, and I thank Harshit Agrawal. I think Harshit is here. I really thank Harshit for his time and suggestions. That he has improved my resume a lot. I really thank him. So can we go to the next slide, please? Thank you. So as you have listened, guys, I don't have more than a year as a young leader, but this committee has been so much helpful, and it has been also thanks to young leaders member that encouraged me to look for some masters in the annual meeting, so to meet the universities, and I found a great opportunity, and now I am doing my master in West Virginia University, and I'm super happy to share this experience with all of you. So as this slide says, the only way to take advantages and benefits of the SME and the young leaders is to be active and get involved. Nobody is going to tell you anything if nobody knows you. You have to make sure to participate. While you are participating, you are going to realize all the possibilities you have, all the potential you have with this program. So we can go to the next slide, please. So, for example, this photo is of our mine tour. We went to Victor Cripple Creek, a mine from Newmont. And even though I have already mentioned all these events before, These are some of the activities we have during the conference. So Young Leaders Committee is getting better and better, and so I encourage everybody here to apply and become a young leader. There is a lot of possibility, a lot of benefits, and it is great. Uh, I really like to be part of this, and I have 3 more years to go, and I expect I will doing great things being a member of this incredible committee. Thank you, Liz. That's all for me.
Okay, hello everyone. This is Luis Velasquez. I am graduating Young Leader 2018, and now I'm going to talk about why should I stay involved in SME. Well, it resumes to 2 points: continuing education and networking. Continuing education, such as short courses, webinar conferences, certification courses. This is very useful when it comes to obtaining your PE, that stands for Professional Engineer, or PG, that is Professional Geologist, or other licensures. And also many opportunities for networking, potential job, project collaboration opportunities, asking technical questions, finding a mentor, and so on. And now, remaining involved in SME. How? How can you do this? There are several ways. The first is the SME divisions. We have actually 7 right now. The primary ones are mineral processing divisions, mining exploration, mineral aggregates, to name a few. We have the SME committees. There are also local sections that you can approach to in your in some regions where you are working or studying. There are more than 50 active local sections registered. You can also join the SME mentor program, and you can also chair or co-chair a technical session at the SME annual conference or at the local sections conferences that takes place. So, well, this slide I think is important to show. Networking. Many people think that the more members you have on your LinkedIn profile, the bigger network you have. But this is not really true. Networking is creating a meaningful connection with someone, being able to call someone to ask for help, and the other way around, be able to be called by someone who is looking for help. So, taking this into account, SME can help you to increase the size of your network and thus help in your career. Well, now that we have all presented about the SME Young Leaders Committee, how can you apply? First, you need to be an SME member in good standing. This is mandatory. Second, you need to be 30 years old of age or younger. Third, you need to mention leadership qualifications. You need to describe at least 5 of them. Uh, Applicants of higher qualification will have higher chance of being accepted. Plus 2 letters of endorsement, one from your supervisor plus one from an SME member. And then you need to write on the SME website 3 essays responding these questions. How you believe your involvement with the Young Leaders Committee will contribute to your professional ambitions. Describe a situation where you demonstrated great leadership and what was the outcome and what did you learn from that experience. And the last essay is describe what you believe the vision and mission of the Young Leaders Committee is and or should be within SME. Finally, a short bio. It could be in PDF or Word format, plus a headshot. And all of this you need to submit online. The URL is over there. So Denise will present these slides. Frequently asked questions.
Yeah, so in doing the application and wondering if you should apply for the YLC, there are some questions that we get a lot that we just figured we'd address up front. These are the most common ones. So Can I apply for the YLC if I haven't finished my undergraduate studies? Nope, like we said, this is an early career group for people who have graduated from college, finished an undergraduate degree. But at the same time, we do accept student members who are currently doing a graduate degree, a master's or PhD. Those people are eligible to join the Young Leaders. Is there a penalty if I join the SME YLC and then stop participating? No, nobody's going to kick you out of SME and forever shun you from the mining industry or whatever if you stop participating. People's lives change, people change careers, and sometimes that means that you have more or less time or more or less interest in various groups. And so if you need to stop participating before your 4 years are up, that's fine, you know, no problem. Although everybody likes a heads up, I guess. Will the SME YLC give me online or face-to-face courses at US universities? Nope, we're not an academic program. Some of the webinars or conference programs that we do may involve faculty from US universities, but nothing where you get any academic credits or anything. Will I have additional benefits as a YL other than the ones I have as an SME member? I think that we've addressed some of the kind of intangible benefits that you get as a young leader that might be harder to achieve if you were just a regular SME member, but there's nothing guaranteed. You know, you get out what you put in. There's nothing, you know, you don't get like a special, I don't know, SME access pass or something. Do I get paid if I join the SME YLC? I wish, but no. There's no financial benefit, nor at least no direct financial benefit. Similarly, will I get an additional discount to attend the SME Annual Conference and Expo? Nope, you pay the same registration fee you would otherwise. Will SME cover my travel expenses to attend the SME YLC annual meeting? Again, nope, no financial benefits, but I know that for some members, participating in this program does provide some additional incentive for their company to send them, because they know that if they send a young leader to this conference, they'll be doing a lot more networking and participation in technical programs than they would be otherwise. So that's kind of a side benefit, but not financial. And can I be part of the SME YLC if I cannot attend the SME annual conference? The answer is yes, absolutely. I know that we focused a lot on some of the activities that happen during the annual conference, but that's not everything. We do have a committee meeting during the annual conference that people can phone into and still participate. But then we have all these other year-round activities that people have talked about, working with students, doing some volunteer and philanthropic activities, and various webinars like this one, sometimes more technical or related to professional development, career development. So there's lots of things that you can do, even if they're not the last week in February, soon to be in Phoenix. So I guess that's the frequently asked questions. It's possible that some of you might have additional questions that I guess Jackie has been collecting through the chat.
Thank you. I would like to open up the question and answer session to all of our attendees. Please use the chat panel to ask your question, and we will read it aloud to our panelists. The first question came in early during your presentation, so I believe you've already answered this question, which is, how can you transition from the Young Leaders Committee to technical committees? Could you please expound upon what you have already discussed?
Yeah, I can take that one. So through the young leaders, it's very much encouraged in order to take part in those technical committees, to chair or co-chair a session for your committee of choice or your division of choice, to attend the executive committee meetings throughout the annual conference. So a lot of it ends up taking place at the annual conference that we help you. I mean, we've got division and technical committee or strategic committee reps that can help bring you into those groups. It's kind of one of their jobs is to be able to help the other young leaders kind of get involved. But through the progression of those 4 years, I mean, you're not solely limited to young leaders. You're actually actively encouraged to get involved with those, so that when you do roll out of young leaders, you can continue that process, and it's a smoother transition than just trying to get into it on your own.
Thank you, Nick. Our second question is, Louise, this is for the slide program. Can you scroll back to to show the link for the SME Young Leader membership enrollment again, please?
The membership one?
Yes, sir.
Membership subcommittee, right? That one?
Let's see. The question, could you provide the link for the SME Young Member enrollment again? So I don't see.
Oh, the application link maybe, which was on the second to last slide.
Application? How to apply?
Yes, there we go, yes.
Okay. It's here. This one.
And I think that you can also access this link if you go to the SME webpage, and I think it's somewhere under committees maybe. This link should be there on the Young Leaders page, and hopefully if you're a member of SME and eligible for the Young Leaders, at some point you got an email that should also have this information.
Great, thank you. Thank you, Denise.
Our next question.
Okay, our next question. Can one or perhaps each of you discuss how SME and the Young Leaders Committee has helped to advance your career, please? Anyone like
Sure.
to step forward?
Yeah,
Maybe I can take it. Do you want to do it, Luis?
Yes.
Of course. Go on.
Okay, I've been part of the SME Young Leaders Committee during 4 years. It has helped me a lot expanding my international network. I attended to the annual conference, participated in all the subcommittees, and now I have instant connection, as Mario said, to many of them. Most of them are professors, project managers, and this has helped me a lot to contribute in that regard.
I can share something. This is Denise. So my background is in abandoned mines and mine cleanup. And the work that I used to do, the whole mining process happened decades ago. And I really didn't know that much about the modern mining industry and what all the people who weren't cleaning up mine waste were doing. And so getting involved in SME and the young leaders in particular has given me an opportunity to find out about a lot of different other parts of the industry and talk to people who work in those fields and just learn a lot more about the process. And as I do more and more work with active mines, what's going on. Now I know either people I can call up and ask or just how things work.
I'd say as a consultant, it's almost like cheating. I mean, the connections that we end up getting, there's almost a direct connection to a lot of people who end up being clients, not necessarily just because we're in Young Leaders together, but you've got that ability to discuss, that you normally probably wouldn't have had otherwise.
Yeah, exactly. I also would like to share that I am Peruvian mining engineer. It was through Young Leaders Committee. One of the members were telling me maybe I should get a master. I was looking to do my master's program, but I never knew what universities were like taking master students. I wasn't aware of that. So the member told me, yeah, here in the annual convention, you can go, you can meet. And then I met a lot of people and I was offered many programs and I applied. After some months, I'm doing my master. So I'm improving my academic degree and going for one step forward. And I hope after this get a full-time job here. So yeah, it was a great experience. It helps me a lot.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. The next question is, other than the SME annual meeting, what are the estimated travel commitments, if any?
So there are no travel commitments. I mean, if you end up wanting to get involved in the strategic committees or the division committees, there's always the mid-year SME meeting, which it's recommended to attend, but it's not a necessity. And so outside of the annual conference, which in itself is still not a necessity, there's really no travel requirements, just by the fact that everyone can interact through the internet, through WhatsApp, LinkedIn, everything. That we don't need to be face to face in order to actually accomplish what we do.
Thank you. And how many people actually are involved in Young Leaders Committee?
I looked this up just before this. Currently, among the 4 classes that are considered active, there are 102 members. But then we have a network over the 20 plus years of this program, stretching back to 1998, of about 250 people who have been part of the program, I think.
Impressive numbers. Our next question, he says, hello, I'm a little too old to join the Young Leaders Committee. What other avenues would you recommend to be involved in SME committees or board meetings or volunteer work? I'm seeking your help. Thank you.
I think the number one thing that I've learned is show up and act interested, or show up and be interested. You don't just have to act. Let people know that you're interested, even if you're not a young leader. And get involved on the local level. Sometimes that's a smaller step that's easier.
Thank you, Denise. That's very good advice. If attendees have any more questions, please use the chat panel. Thank you. The next question is the 4-year time period. Is that serving as an officer, or is that for just being a committee member?
That'll just be as a committee member. The typical progression in your first year is to kind of get a feel for what things there are. Choose a subcommittee that you want to be involved in, and then as we get more members or more opportunities, there are a lot more direct positions that we encourage you to fill as a second and third year member. And then typically by the 4th year, as you're kind of aging out of the process or rolling out of the process, that's the time to serve in the executive committee as a more senior division or strategic committee representative. So there's a progression that you end up making through the young leaders, but it's a 4-year process in total. And so if you don't want any part of any of that, you just kind of want to float along, that's fine too. But there's a number of different ways to make use of the young leaders.
Thank you, Nick. How many members are accepted each year, per year?
Having looked at the spreadsheet, I can tell you that it ranges from 0 to 40. In recent years, it's been on the higher end. So a few dozen. Sometimes it depends on how many applications there are.
And it completely depends on, as Denise said, how many applications we get. The group has moved to an inclusive application process. So as long as you can meet the minimum requirements and show excitement in being able to volunteer and help out the young leaders, we're going to bring you in because, we need as many people as we can get. A number of years ago, it had been an exclusive process and where they would only take 10 to 15 people. But, over the last few years, we've gone from 40 to 60 to 90 and so it's just a snowball at this point in how many people can we get into the fold and find different ways to keep them engaged.
Good. I think you just answered the next question, which is any thoughts to extend enrollment to any or all SME members under 35? I believe you just answered that. And our attendee says that's excellent to hear. I'd like to remind all of our attendees that this session is being recorded. It will be posted on the SME YouTube site where you can view it and send your colleagues to it at a later date. It should be posted within a week to 10 days. There don't appear to be any more questions. Thank you for the four of you. And if Luis could, here, the next question says, what is your contact information? It's up there on the screen. Any one of these four would be an excellent person to contact for more information. And would you have any final words for our attendees? Again, thank you for sharing your expertise. It was a fantastic presentation. Lots of thank yous coming in.
All are very welcome. And I think the YLC is a great program and a great way to get involved in SME.
Absolutely. Please reach out for any comments, questions, anything else that you'd like to discuss. I mean, our time here is to be able to help everyone out there navigate SME.
Yeah, it will be my pleasure to know if you have any question. Please send me a message. I will answer back. Happy to help you all. I hope you enjoy the presentation.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Feel free to reach out to us. You have already our emails, or you can search our names on LinkedIn. We'll be happy to help you. Thank you, everyone.
And thank you so much for joining us, everyone. Have a great day. And this ends today's session.